Imagine a world where machines could not only talk to us, but manage billion-dollar businesses. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, that future might be closer than you think. Today, we'll journey through the unfolding story of AI development, exploring each level of artificial intelligence from basic tools to potential AI overlords. Join us as we decipher where companies like OpenAI and Google DeepMind are on this path, and why every step could reshape our world. But today, we're going to go through the 5 levels of AI hierarchy, what each mean, what the definition is, and where different businesses fall. Let's jump straight into it. Level 0, what is that? That's basically simple computation. That's a calculator. It performs nothing. It's just predefined tasks. It does what it's told to do. It just adds numbers. Basically, no AI whatsoever. It lacks the ability to learn, and it can't adapt. Level 1 is when we start actually getting some capabilities. These are things like chatbots or virtual agents. Think Siri or Alexa. They are capable of engaging in human-like text-based conversations, but they are not doing any particular advanced concepts, no reasoning, no anything like that. It's user-defined responses, and there's some degree of natural language processing to mimic a conversation. Think about speaking to Siri or speaking to your Google on your phone. It doesn't fully understand what's needed. There's often people who define what's happening in the background. There are actions that are taken, but it gets it wrong all the time. It tells you it can't do this, it doesn't understand it. You can't have a conversation. It's not a back and forth. It really is just those single steps, no reasoning, no consideration of what further could be done. Level 2 is when it starts getting a bit more interesting. This is where we actually start looking at things that are doing reasoning. They're doing some form of logic and consideration. They're doing some form of problem solving. They can perform tasks that require an understanding of complex instructions. They can generate new content and guidelines. They can help you think of new ideas. This is much more where GPT-4 as a tool sits, and other chatbots like Claude and Gemini. This exhibits a capability similar to humans. If you've heard of the Turing test, this is where we start getting into that space where you don't even know that you're interacting with a bot. It gives you enough information. It has a good enough conversation. It has enough reasoning and thought behind it that you don't know that this is not a human. This exhibits capability similar to that of someone with human qualifications, say 12th grader, someone who has completed high school. But it can't do anything physically. It can't take an action. It can't do a task. It can't perform something, and has no interaction with the physical world whatsoever. It's more based on that reasoning aspect. The next part then is as we get into that action. So we've gone from just simple back and forth natural language concepts. We've then gone into reasoning and understanding. We're now into agents who are taking action. They perform complex multi-step tasks. So it's not just a single task of give me an idea. It's a multi-step task and needs to have out all the steps, plan the steps, and action those steps. It works collaboratively with other systems, such as other agents, or with other humans. You can then have that back and forth with that agent in interaction. It shows adaptability by modifying strategies based on the changes in condition. If it's doing something and it changes, it needs to change that action accordingly. So let's say it is a recruitment agent. It lays out the steps of I need to find someone, I need to interview them, I need to then hire them, have the negotiation. What happens if that person pulls out of the conversation? If that person decides they don't want to progress? That's a change in the environment and they will need to adjust to that. A good example of this is some of the autonomous vehicles. They have some agentic kind of concept to them, where they're actually physically interacting, they are doing tasks, they're breaking down the steps of driving from this location to that location. They figure out the route, they plan the path, they then change as things happen. There's also more advanced robotics navigation systems that are making decisions in these environments, but there will be also digital agents as well. Level 4 is more moving past the just actions and moving into innovation. So it's the creating of new things and new discoveries. This is really useful within a scientific area. They're capable of formulating hypotheses, conducting experiments, creating new theories and products, figuring out and developing something that is innovative, is new and different. At this level of AI, there could be huge potential within medicine, engineering, and environmental science, where we are actually addressing some of the bigger problems the world is facing and how we can tackle them. The last stage, which is considered AGI, so artificial general intelligence, this is where you have fully autonomous systems capable of running complex operations or entire organization. Envision an AI in a leadership role, making strategic decisions and managing teams, resources for an entire organization. Think of a CEO running an organization, potentially of AI agents. So this would be a full billion-dollar company, maybe one person, but the rest is done by the AI. That's making strategic decisions, managing operational components, handling all of this without human intervention. Let's talk back through those levels again. There is no AGI, the conversational, which is just back and forth, reasoners who actually have thought and belief in actual processing and problem solving. We have agents that take action and work together collaboratively. We then have the innovators, where they are creating something new, and then an AI organization that really leverages those other 4 levels to create something and run an organization or a whole entity by itself. That could be a billion-dollar organization. Where are we at today? Llama is around a level 1 to 2, Gemini, Claude, and OpenAI is a bit further. This is based on their definitions as well, on their levels that they say they're at. You can read my blog post to learn a bit more about that. What are the challenges with this framework and way of thinking? So the first part is it's very, very difficult to define. Every organization, OpenAI, DeepMind, Anthropic, they all have their own definitions and milestones for what AGI is. And so it makes it very hard to measure and compare. The one I've spoken about today is kind of a combination of OpenAI's and DeepMind's. The second part is all of these levels are subjective. There is no way for me to measure, is it doing reasoning? Is it an agent? Is it innovative? There's no way to actually have a metric or a target that I can know. So that makes it very difficult to compare across. So although I said they were between level 1 and 2, that's really based on their opinion. Going from this, given that it's defined by their opinion, the other challenge with this whole system is a marketing aspect. We can't measure where the different levels, so they can be used and misused within marketing to misrepresent the levels of these different companies. This can be a risk for the capabilities of AI, overstating their value, overstating their capabilities, and misleading the public and stakeholders, which will impact on misplaced expectations, potentially misinformed decisions and policies as well. That will guide this whole AI industry in different directions. The last challenge, which is always something to be aware of, is the ethics and safety. There is a lot of bias and fairness in these AI systems, and we need to ensure that they are part of it, and that is not a reference or a consideration within this framework of these different levels. And the second part is the job displacement. As we progress through these different levels, how will that impact different people, the work they do, how they work, and the employment status of them? That all needs to be considered and managed as well. And again, this framework doesn't consider that or involve that. So there could be improvements. So what have we covered today? We've gone through the different levels. Again, from the conversational AI that just speaks and has back and forth, the reasoner who thinks through ideas and problem solves, the agent who works collaboratively to take action, the innovator who creates new and different outcomes, and then the AI organization, which is the combination of all of these different aspects, bringing it together to drive a new business, to drive outcomes and change the world. Why does this matter? We can use these levels to understand how we're progressing. We can look back at see where we've come from, and we can also forecast forward to see when we're going to hit or expect to hit these different levels. This gives us a means of working with and measuring how we are progressing towards this level 5 organization and how it's going to impact us along the way and the decisions we need to make as we go there.